Today, we are diving headfirst into a massive question where technology and art collide: AI-generated music. It's this tool that feels like magic, but man, is it creating a huge legal and emotional paradox for creators. So let's break that paradox down. You see this question everywhere, in studios, on forums. It's a total gut punch for artists who have poured their lives into music. It's this feeling that decades of hard work, of honing a craft, could just be wiped out by an algorithm. And you know what? It's a totally valid fear. And this right here just lays out the core of that fear perfectly. On one side, you've got the human artist. Their work is built from lived experience, from actual scars and memories, from taste, and that thing we call a soul. And on the other side, the AI. It runs on data, patterns, and pure code. So the big question is, how on earth can these two worlds even coexist? So let's start there. Let's really dig into this emotional conflict, this modern plight of the artist, just to get a handle on what's really at stake here. But here's the thing. To figure out the solution, you've got to understand the tool itself. So let's pull back the curtain a bit and look at the actual math behind the music. Because this AI stuff, it's not magic. It's really just the next chapter in a very, very old story. And what's so wild is when you put this in a historical context. I mean, this whole quest to define music with math, it's been going on for over 2,500 years. Seriously. You have Pythagoras back in 500 BC figuring out the ratios in a vibrating string. Then you jump forward to Bach, creating these perfect mathematical structures in his fugues. And today's AI. It's just the superpowered computational version of that same ambition. So here's the crucial point. An AI doesn't feel heartbreak. It doesn't get chills when a chord changes. It has no idea what joy is. It's just a ridiculously powerful pattern-matching machine. It's a master at calculating the statistical probability that this note should come after that note in a certain style of music. It's all math, all patterns. And one of the coolest ways it learns these patterns is through something called a GAN, a generative adversarial network. Okay, think of it like this. It's a game between a master art forger, that's the generator, and a world-class art critic, the discriminator. The forger creates fake music. The critic's job is to spot the fake. Now, imagine they do this millions and millions of times. Eventually, the forger gets so good that the critic literally can't tell the difference anymore. That's how the AI learns. Okay, so you've got all this brilliant, sophisticated math, but it runs headfirst into a very old, very human problem: the law. Specifically, copyright law. So here's the deal. The entire foundation of U.S. copyright law boils down to one simple, non-negotiable idea: human authorship. To get protection, a work has to come from a human mind. That's the rule, period. And believe me, the U.S. Copyright Office has been crystal clear about this. They have said flat out that if a human being didn't create the work, they will refuse to register a copyright. No human author, no copyright. Simple as that. And look, this isn't just some internal policy. It's been tested and confirmed in federal court. The big one was a case called Thaler versus Perlmutter, and it really cemented this idea. The court's logic was pretty straightforward. Copyright is there to encourage people to create. A machine, it doesn't need that kind of encouragement. So, okay. This leads to the million-dollar question for any of you creators using these tools. We already know from the Copyright Office that just typing in a prompt, sad country song about a lost dog, that's not enough to make you an author. That's just giving an instruction. So what is enough? Where's the line? All right, this next part is all about the solution. It's about how you, the human creator, can actually forge legal ownership out of the raw code that these AIs spit out. The magic phrase, the legal standard you have to meet, is sufficient human intervention. This is the point where your creativity takes over. It's where you take what the AI gave you and you transform it into something that is genuinely your new original expression. So what does that look like in practice? Well, it could mean taking a bunch of AI-generated clips and arranging them into a real song structure. A verse, a chorus, a bridge. Or it could be you actually changing the melody or the harmonies in a big way, adding your own guitar solo on top. That counts. Writing your own lyrics? Absolutely. The bottom line is, you have to be more than just a director pointing a finger. You have to get your hands dirty and actually create something new with it. Okay, but here's a super important catch. even when you do all that work, the kind of copyright you get is often called a thin copyright. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's not the big, broad protection you'd get for a song you wrote from scratch. It's, well, thinner. So, what this really means is you own your creative choices. You own the arrangement, you own your lyrics, you own that guitar solo you added. But, and this is a big but, you do not own the raw melody or the chord progression that the AI first generated. So someone else could use that same AI output, arrange it differently, and they probably wouldn't be violating your copyright. See the difference? And get this, the AI companies themselves know this is all a bit of a legal minefield. Check this out. This is right from the terms of service for Suno, one of the biggest music AIs out there. They say, point blank, that even for paying customers, they make no representation or warranty that you'll be able to get a copyright. They're basically telling you up front, hey, the legal risk, that's on you. So, wow, after all that technical stuff, all that legal jargon, where does that leave the artist? Well, it leaves us in a place where we have to reframe this whole conversation. AI isn't a replacement. It's a new kind of creative partner, and a really, really powerful one. Remember that fear we started with? The fear that AI is a replacement? That it's going to devalue your craft? The reality is, AI is an instrument, and instead of devaluing your craft, it actually highlights your taste. Think about it. Anyone can hit the generate button. But it takes an artist. It takes your ear to sift through the noise and find the gold. The AI doesn't create the art. It just gives you the raw material to work with. And honestly, this might be the single most important thing to take away from all of this. Your 20 years of experience aren't worthless. They're more valuable than they have ever been. The AI provides the raw marble. Your experience is what makes you the sculptor. So we end right back where we started, but with a totally different perspective. The machine, yeah, it can provide the patterns. It's a master of that, there's no doubt. But the real question now is for you, the human artist. Are you the one who can give those patterns a soul?